Hey, everybody, this is Dr. William Clark, the host of the Dr. William Clark podcast, and I'm excited to be with you for another podcast. I want to jump into this topic today. We're going to talk about how to expand the capacity of your fundraising department or efforts without spending money. And this is going to be interesting because the key to this particular podcast topic is how do we do this without spending any money? And I had to be thoughtful about what I'm going to share with you. As I was preparing for this podcast, I had wrote down some things. And I'm like, nope, that's going to cause people to spend money, and I'm trying to focus on not spending money. And I'm going to come at you with three things that you can do right now to focus on to expand your fundraising efforts without spending money. But before we jump into the podcast, I want to quickly just invite all of you who are listeners to my podcast to join my masterclass, What You Should Know Before Applying for Grants. Now, this particular masterclass, I have designed it to make sure I equip you with everything you need to know before you apply for grants. This is useful for newbies as well as seasoned fundraisers. In this masterclass, I offer monthly group coaching with me and other students who are focused on developing solid fundraising plans, and those plans will result in you raising money, major money for your nonprofit. And as a bonus for joining the masterclass, I offer full access to my 50 plus video library of courses that are personally taught by me, where I explore in detail the three secrets to raising serious money for your nonprofit. In addition, all students receive templates, tips, tools, and tricks to accelerate their fundraising process to realize results today. So if you want to join the masterclass, go ahead and visit nonprofitfundingstrategies.com. Again, that's nonprofitfundingstrategies.com, and you can join our masterclass and mastermind group today. Now, with that out of the way, I want to jump into our podcast, how to expand the capacity of your fundraising department or efforts without spending money. Now, I know that as I share these things, I have seen these things work. I've used them quite often, actually on a regular basis. And let me just say this before we jump into these topics here. I don't want you to hear these suggestions and think that you can avoid raising money without spending money. Like there is something real about you got to put out money to get money back, and I don't want this podcast to circumvent that idea. But with that being said, if you need to jumpstart, you need to reinvigorate, reimagine your fundraising efforts. How do you do that? How do you expand capacity without spending money? Well, here's the first way you can do that. You got to make sure that you have a solid board of directors. Now, this is probably a staple recommendation by all consultants, nonprofit leaders, people who've been in the business for a long time. Your board is key. Your board is essential to you raising money, period. Whether you are a newbie, whether you've been in the game for a while, whether you're trying to get over the hump, you need a good board of directors. They're not only there to govern and oversee policy, but they're also there to help you raise awareness of your organization within their circles of influence and beyond. They're also there to be a part of the journey of you raising money for your organization. And if they are not fulfilling that obligation, then you're really going to find yourself at a severe disadvantage when it comes to raising money for your organization. So the question becomes, how do you raise money for your organization and your board is not active? How do you raise money for your organization if your board is not meeting on a regular basis? How do you raise money for your organization if your board does not add value to the fundraising journey of your organization? If they're unable to sell tickets to the next gala, or if they're unable to make an introduction to a potential partner or a potential investor or potential individual donor. How is your board helping you raise money if they're not contributing to, hey, I saw to the idea that they saw a grant or something like that, right? Your board is essential to raise money. And then let me also say this too. It is best practice to have your board contribute out of pocket to the fundraising efforts of the organization, whether they are giving a cash amount or they are pushing a an event and selling X number of tickets or raising money through a referral. However they do it, you want your board active on this journey. You want your board a part of what you are doing. And if you have a really good board, this can be a wonderful resource to help you raise money without spending money. Now, this is an idea that works for, again, newbies, new organizations. This works for organizations that have been established for a while. But you got to have a solid board. Your board has to be on point. They have to be on board, pun intended, to make sure that they are contributing to the efforts of you fundraising. Here's the next way you can expand the capacity of your fundraising department, or at least expand your efforts of fundraising. You need to tap into family and friends. Now, depending on how you view this, a lot of people try to stay away from family when it comes to raising money. I get it, totally understand it. But there's a level of maturity that kind of that gets roped into your fundraising efforts when you start to realize that family and friends are wonderful resources. Now, I think some of the trouble I've seen when people go to family and friends for support is that they go to family and friends for support and they have high expectations of the family member or of the best friend or of your high school friends that you still talk to. And, one of the things I would just caution you against is setting too high expectations when you approach family and friends. Think about this. When you go fundraising and you're talking to individual donors, how do you prepare for that mentally? What expectations do you have for individual donors? Now, I know you have a fundraising goal. I know that you may want to raise X number of thousands of dollars or millions of dollars from individual donors. But when you meet with the individual donor, do you expect to raise a minimum amount from every donor? If you do, I think that's a tough way to go just because you don't know how your pitch is going to go. You don't know how the meeting's going to go. You don't know how the individual donor is going to react to you. You don't know how they're going to react to your presentation or if they just gave to another cause not too long ago. Those are factors that you got to think about. And if you're going into individual donor conversations realizing that not every donor meeting is going to go the same, not every donor meeting is going to turn out the way I hope it does, then why would you approach family and friends in a different way if they are being approached as individual donors? What you want to do is not approach any individual donors with an expectation that I'm going to raise $1,000,000 from you or $100,000 from you or even $10 from you. You don't know what people are going through. You don't know what their finances are looking like the day that you go approach them. You don't know what changes that they may be experiencing that may have literally popped up 2 seconds before the scheduled meeting. And because of that, if you change your expectation from I plan to raise $20 from every person in my family to I'm going to gather the family, I'm going to share the story of our organization, make a pitch, and recommend a suggested donation. And my hope is that among the 30 people I'm getting ready to meet, that we raise $5,000. It may come from one person. It may come from everyone. It may come from a percentage. But the laws of averages are going to tell me a good 10% of people that hear my pitch, and maybe a little less, are going to contribute. Okay? That changes things. It should ease things. And so when you go into a family friend request or pitch meeting and you adjust your expectations, then you should be able to, in a mature way, approach family and friends and say, hey, I believe you guys might want to support my cause. And here's the story. And let me know how you want to move forward. Here's something else I do want to share with you, right? That when you do that, when you go into these pitch meetings with family and friends, you want to make sure that you are comfortable enough and mature enough to leave that pitch meeting even if they give you zero with the same love, the same concern, the same familial camaraderie that you walked in there with? If you think that you're going to change or feelings will change towards your family if you get zero, or if the family member you thought would give gave nothing, if you think that will change the nature of your relationship with your family and friends, do not pitch them. Don't do it. However, family and friends, people who love you, people who care about you, they could be a wonderful resource to expand your fundraising efforts without spending any money. You and your family are getting together more and more these days via virtual connections, FaceTime, Zoom, Google Meet, or whatever Google has, Facebook Messenger, all these platforms that exist. You're getting together anyway, just to check on each other. And man, what a wonderful opportunity, if you plan it out correctly, to tell your family and friends, hey, I'm doing this. Would you consider supporting my efforts? Would you consider being a part of this journey? Would you consider being an investor in our work? All right, so I got one more for you. How to expand the capacity of your fundraising department or efforts without spending any money. First, we said you got to have a very strong board of directors. Secondly, I recommend considering family and friends. Lastly, social media. Now, I am reading a book by one of my mentors, Russell Brunson. He came out with a book a couple months ago called Expert Secrets. And in this particular iteration of his trilogy, he's talking about the role of social media and online platforms to growing your business. Now, the timing of this just couldn't be any better. You know, he wrote the book sometime last year, and of course, with the pandemic going on, the release of the book timing was just perfect. Where people were given the wonderful opportunity during this quarantine time to literally launch businesses. And with that being said, he talks a lot about the role of social media and online platforms to growing your business. And what he said that is sticking out to me is that when you jump on social media, you should jump on social media not as a consumer of content, although we get the role of social media, especially when you're connected with family and friends. You should also, if not for the majority of your time, be on social media as a creator. Less consuming, more creation. And I can tell you it works. Now, if you are using social media for groups and connecting with people with like-minded thoughts and ideas relative to your nonprofit work, fundraising, marketing, sales, etc., program operations, you should find opportunities to post within groups, post with hashtags, etc., to get feedback from people about different fundraising mechanisms that you can implement into your fundraising operations. I can't tell you how many groups I'm a part of that I not only learn from, but definitely contribute to, where you see people post questions all over the world about something that they are working on, a fundraising idea that they have come up with. They may be stumped with the next idea, or they got an idea but don't know how to materialize it, and they throw it out to the group, and feedback comes flying in. I know I'm one of those people that provides feedback. I provide pretty in-depth feedback, and for free. This person has gotten some ideas, some concepts, different alternative perspectives about a fundraising concept that before they posted, they didn't have, for free. They didn't have to pay a consultant. Now, I will tell you there are limitations to this, because I know for me, since I'm a teacher, consultant, a coach, what I put in the public sphere has limitations, but you'll get an answer. You'll get a pretty solid answer, might I add. How to implement it is a little different, and that's when you may want to call me as your coach and consultant and mentor. But you get an answer in these public squares. And if you're able to read between the lines, or if something is able to resonate with you that connects with other ideas, and you're able to do this and do that and do this and do that on your own, then you're well on your way for free. For free. So when you consider the role of social media, yes, you can post pictures of your next outfit, of your kids, of your meal, your next run walk journey, as you prepare for the marathon. That's cool. And people, obviously they love to see that stuff because they love and care for you. But when you think about growing your nonprofit business, when you think about expanding your fundraising efforts, the fundraising department that you're leading, perhaps, or if you're the executive director or CEO of your nonprofit, expanding the revenue coming in, social media plays a huge, huge, huge role in all of that. Feedback from people outside of your community, people who are contributing to your ideas from all over the world, all types of perspectives, who can just give you just that little next nudge that is the competitive edge you've been looking for. That can make all the difference. So I'll just share with you 3 ways to expand your nonprofit efforts without spending any money. And before we close, I think this is just a great opportunity to reintroduce the masterclass, What You Should Know Before Applying for Grants. We have been having a wonderful time with our group of students, just talking about issues and concerns relative to them that help them get over the hump when it comes to fundraising. If you need a coaching environment, if you need a safe place to ask your questions and to learn from other people who are in similar situations, and learn from people who may be a little more advanced than you as they are getting coaching, this masterclass that I offer, What You Should Know Before Applying for Grants, is for you. We meet monthly, and you get to hear me live, share and coach and advise on all things fundraising and nonprofit leadership. But as a bonus, because I just can't help myself, I make sure all students who are part of this masterclass, they get access to my 50-plus video library of courses that I have personally taught on the topics of fundraising, where I go into detail about the 3 secrets of fundraising for your nonprofit. In addition, I make sure every student has access to all the templates that I use for my fundraising, pre, during, and post fundraising. You have access to quick tip cheat sheets and everything else that will help accelerate your funding and your fundraising process. If you want to join today, which I highly recommend you do, visit me at nonprofitfundingstrategies.com. Scroll down to a little bit and click on the icon of What You Should Know Before You Apply for Grants. We will be glad to add you to our group. This is a growing group. This is a wonderful group. This is a wonderful learning environment. Again, go to nonprofitfundingstrategies.com. And once you register, you'll be taken into the student portal where you'll see the library of courses ready for you to consume. This is Dr. William Clark for the Dr. William Clark Podcast. We will see you in the next episode, everybody. Peace.